Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Everything Theater Podcast, the podcast where we talk about,
Everything theater. Hi there, I'm Benita Zahn.
and I'm Ellen Cribbs.
And when we say we talk about everything theater, it's not just, in front on the stage, in the spotlight. It's the behind the scenes, it's the folks who are pulling all the cords. And also, we're moving a little bit around the block today because we're going to talk about getting you there. And Ellen, I couldn't help but think that today, as I was getting ready, I kept thinking of the Noel Coward. Don't put your daughter on the stage, Mrs. Worthington. Don't put your daughter on the stage. She's a bit of an ugly duckling, you must honestly, but mothers and fathers do want to put their kids on the stage. And sometimes the kid belongs there and sometimes they don't,
hmm
right?
Yeah, and you get the stage moms that I think we've all come across, and yeah.
Oh, yeah, we've been in shows where we've seen the stage moms. But Denise Simon is an acting, and it's Denise Simon Acting and Coaching. And she knows theater or every corner, every nook and cranny. She's down in New York City. And Denise, we're thrilled to have you with us.
Thank you so much, ladies.
And you're the one who helps the Mrs. Worthingtons decide if they should put their darlings on the stage. And if so, how to get them there.
Exactly. Yeah, I've been doing this a long, long time. Kids is my business, it's my niche. And yeah, so what do you want to know? I'm here to talk.
So, what I would think I want to know, what most mothers, moms, dads, kids want to know is should if it's not the child's desire but the parent's desire, good, bad, or indifferent.
Ooh, it must be the child dragging the parent into the room. Okay. If the parent is dragging the child into the room, we don't want to meet them. All right. This is not an easy industry. Good actors make it look easy. So all kids think showbiz is glamorous. I want to be an actor. It's hard work. And the child has to really want it. And it's those kids that want it, that are dragging their parents in there. Those are the kids that are, going to be able to do the work and eventually, make it.
So, when somebody walks in for an audition, can you tell in 10 seconds you go on this? You're in the I'm keeping you around, or you're in the you should go be on the playground line.
Yeah, exactly. 10 seconds or less. I mean, we really know in such a short amount of time. And a lot of times I get asked the question, how do you know, if a child really has what it takes? And, there's something called the it factor, which you can't learn. It's charisma, it's personality, it's a want, it's a desire, it's a passion, but it's just something that any actor, owns. And we know that. But what we really know immediately is, does this child, is it their passion? Because, like I said, it's hard work and they have to want it. And getting a job, that doesn't usually happen. So it's the auditioning and the training. And that's the piece that the child has to love, because that's pretty much what they're doing.
So, what's your I guess your primer. So, Johnny or Susie goes, I want to be on stage. I want to be in movies. I want to be in commercials. I want to do all this. And you would tell the parent what? How do you get them from this is what they want to, gee, I got them in the room?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, like anything, and I'm a mom of two kids, and when it's out of my expertise, I hire somebody. I've got coaches for everything. Personally, for everything that I do, nutritionists and health coaches. When it, because there are people that have trained and studied and know better than I do. And so the same thing is true really in this business. I think for families that didn't grow up in the industry and they really have no idea how to do this or even what it takes, and even to know if their child has what it takes, seeking out an expert opinion. And so I think the readiness is the thing that has to be determined. And how do you determine if a child's ready? So I've written, gosh, probably 400 or 500 articles for Backstage Magazine, backstage.com. And I've also written a book that came out a few years ago called Parenting in the Spotlight, How to Raise a Child Star Without Screwing Them Up. And That book was born because so many parents didn't know what to do with, with a child who wanted to do this. And so not only do I talk you through how to get into the industry, but it's really all those wonderful benefits and life lessons that your child can learn in the industry, because we know that most children will not become professional adults. This is just, statistics just don't prove that. But there's so many wonderful life lessons that come out of it. So the very first thing is, how to determine if they're ready. And they really do probably need an expert opinion on that. But there's some signs along the way. Are teachers, noticing them and seeking them out and saying, you really have something here. You might want to consider doing some theater, or have you ever thought about getting an agent? If the child is acting out sketches in their room and playing, games with their imagination, if they're asking you to, how do I get an agent or manager? If they're, interested in theater and movies, and like, when it's not just a passing phase. And I think when it gets to that point, then it's time to take some action. How do you, then where do you go? That's where I think, you have to start to seek out some real advice, not just, Mrs. Smith down the block thinks you have talent.
Ellen, I have a feeling that was you and me, right? As kids.
I'm having flashbacks to when I was a kid, and I would force my friends to play Phantom of the Opera with me, and I would have to be the Phantom, and I would carry my friend around like pretending she was Christine. Ridiculous.
Yeah, we that not even a question. But I don't think. And by the by, if you see a tail wagging, my big dog has now come in to be part of our conversation. He'd be a good dog for. Right? No,
there's an agency. There's an animal agency as well.
Yeah. We'll have to talk, I think.
That's another
right, with enough biscuits, with enough biscuits. But I think that for a lot of parents, so, Junior is doing all that stuff and begging. Parents don't really know which way to go. And you could get took, couldn't you?
Oh,
how do you know if the person who says, you're a kid, I'm going to make him a star, but it's really going to cost you money?
Okay, so that's the first red flag, right? If somebody's asking you for money and they're going to make your child a star, run, right? You shouldn't. You pay for services, okay, for training. But when an agent or manager wants to sign you, you don't pay them. You pay them a commission when you book a job, but you don't pay up front. And nobody can make you a star. I mean, that's a scam right there. One of my favorite articles I ever wrote was how to spot a scam. And it actually got the attention of Nightline, and they asked me to go undercover. And the whole thing blew up. It never happened. I was so excited. Like the actor in me was like, wow, I get to go undercover. But, a lot of those companies actually, they have taken them down. They've really got to them. Those companies that would stop your child in the mall and say, hey, and they would stop any child in the mall, by the way, and saying, I can make you a star. And parents would fall for this $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $10,000 later, buying photographs and going to conventions. And so, it's really easy to fall prey to because it sounds so sexy. I can make you a star. And everybody, let's face it, thinks it's kind of cool, right? To be a star. Not everybody. There's shy kids that may not. But you have to get educated. And nowadays, it's so easy to do a Google search. And if you sense it, do a Google search. It'll come up.
What are agents looking for besides the kid who comes out, and they're not turning pirouettes, but they are emoting pirouettes? Do you have to be the triple threat? Do you have to sing and dance and act, Not
at all. There's so many different parts of the industry. You've got commercials and voiceovers, and with the pandemic, voiceovers is a huge market right now. So, theater and musical theater is not happening right now, but even when it is happening, the child really can only work till they're 12 or 13 or 4, 11 and a half. And after that, those roles go to adults. And so it's a very short-lived life. So you don't have to be a triple threat or a singer dancer unless you want to do Broadway. And again, up until the age of 12, right? And then it starts up again at 18. Um, any skill that you have, even pop singing now has become so huge with Nickelodeon and Disney. Broadway has now become pop rock. And so recording artists, we're seeing them all over the place now. I mean, look at Lady Gaga, in Star is Born. And so, you just have to be you. And the world is constantly changing, and it's a very colorful world now. And so, you know, colorblind casting, of course, any ethnicity is in huge demand. And unfortunately, for the Caucasian actor, especially girls and especially teens, that market is very dried up. And so it's constantly changing. But what you have to be is a good actor. And what a good actor is they're an honest actor. And they're very real, especially for TV and film. And so you have to know your medium. I think agents these days, are obviously hoping to sign kids across the boards where, maybe they can do TV and film, theater, commercials, and voiceovers. These are all different departments. But so you really can choose to pursue whatever avenue your passion lies in.
So I'm wondering, listen, nothing's going on stage right now. And very little is going on, even recorded, because of the world we're in. So the family that's got that, passionate kid who would love to sign and get going. So is this the time to be taking Zoom classes? Is this the time to be making a tape? Give us a 411 on that.
It's a great time for that. And what we've noticed, because my classes have gone completely virtual since last March, is, and at first everybody, we had to get into high gear and do it quickly. But I will tell you, in almost a year of doing this solely virtually, I cannot believe the growth that we have seen in our students. They are showing up so disciplined, so concentrated, and focused, and they don't have all these other distractions, and they're here because they want to grow. They want to get to that next level. Their self-taping skills have improved, and you must be a good self-taper and learn, because even in a COVID world and not in a pandemic, the digital media is huge and self-taping is huge, and this is going to stay with us. So the actor, even after the rooms open up again, they're going to be self-submitting and doing self-tapes. And so these kids have learned how to set up their home studios and the equipment that they need, and they all have their own recording studios now to do voiceovers. There's a lot of work, I will tell you right now. So don't be fooled. There's a lot of voiceover work. There's production happening. Our kids are still working. The only area they're not working in is theater right now. But so this is a great time to train. It's a great time to watch old movies, to read plays. When you just have more time, you cut that commuting time down. And we're doing virtual productions as well. There's a lot of virtual productions happening. Broadway has a lot of new readings on the horizon. So there's lots of readings that are starting to happen now. And we're also hopeful, of course, by the fall that we will have the theater back and running in New York City, and things will start to get moving again. But yeah, I think, look, the pause, the big timeout, I'm always a big believer in silver linings, and I think this time to really work on your craft, and train and read and study and be able to study with master teachers all over the country. At Broadway actors, they're all teaching. You can go take a class with anybody right now. How cool is that?
A while back, we had Yvonne Perry on as a guest, and Yvonne had been on a soap for many, many years, and she's an acting teacher up here and a very accomplished performer. And in conversation with her, and I think Ellen, even in our podcast, she talked about studying now and learning how to self-tape and set up the studio at home. And I think, Denise, your point's well taken, is that make the investment, because this is going to continue.
Correct. And it's not a big investment, by the way. It's not at all a big investment. We're asking for a blank wall, a $49 pop-up screen from Amazon if you don't have a blank wall. The iPhones, everyone is taping off their iPhones. You get a tripod with a ring light, put your iPhone in there. That's it. You want to get an external mic, you want to get a Blue Yeti, great. None of it is that expensive. Even the little recording booths aren't. And I will tell you, those that have the equipment are the ones that are getting the jobs, because they ask you that right up front. Do you have the equipment? So it is well worth the investment, just like, an athlete has to, get the right shoes. You have to start investing in this. So it's well worth it. I can't say that kids are going to go read a lot of books or read a lot of plays, but maybe for the older teens, if you've got, I can't even say they have more time on their hands, but I've been told that teachers are giving them more work. So, it is.
Denise, how old you work with kids up to what age? Because I'm leading into Ellen, because I started by saying before we began recording, she's got an adorable little one. So
Well, when I was managing actors, I worked with babies, infants, through, well, I want to say any age, because the kids that we handled at the time grew up to become adults. And so they stayed with us. This is when I was managing actors, because my former life, before I was a coach, I was a manager, and I managed young celebrities, and we took them from children to adults. Now, as a coach, I like to start with kids around the age of 8. I have some 7-year-olds, some, of course, who are professional. They've already been working on Broadway and film. We'll start at around 7, but 7, 8, and through college. Personally, I work with any age privately, but our group training, we take them through college. And I have a very big college business helping kids get into college. So I'd like to say from 7 to early 20s, or 7 to mid 20s.
It never stops. I mean, the work continues and it always evolves. So, Ellen, if you were going to be a stage mom, Denise is here. You got the stage.
Well, I was kind of curious as a parent, and looking at the title of your book, which is, by the way, my favorite title of anything ever, How to Raise a Child Star Without Screwing Them Up. How much is too much? Because I remember when I was monitoring an audition at the Shakespeare Theater in DC, and all these kids were coming in, and I was sitting there with all the moms. And, one was saying, oh, after this, Tommy's going to dance, and then he's got movement, and then he's off to a speech class. And it was an entire day for this kid. And I thought, when does this kid have a chance to be a kid? So what do you think of that life-work balance?
Yeah, really. I love this topic. And, it's all about balance. And you have to know your child also. But I will tell you, there are kids that they want nothing more than that. That is what they thrive on. These are kids who go to performing arts schools, or they're homeschooled because all they want to do is be in a show after show and take acting. But for those kids, it's great. Their social life is through the theater. It works. When it's the parent, putting that on, and it's not the child's wish, of course, that's not good. You will take classes in this and you will do that. That's never good. The child has to want to be doing all that. I have kids, the parents are putting them in this dance, and they don't want to dance. Then don't. If they don't want to do it, it's going to be just a disaster. And it's all about balance. And I will tell you, the casting directors and directors want kids to be kids. And so sports, other hobbies, learning a language, community service, going to camp, that stuff is crucial, because it's what makes them who they are. And so you've got to find the balance of all that. And so I love my kids to study and train with me forever and ever and ever. But you know what? If they're kind of burnt out for a while on doing it, I'm all about encouraging them to take a break and, try something else this semester. Or maybe don't go to a theater camp, go to an all-around camp. So, again, I think you have to know your child. But and if it's the child just wanting to do all that, it's great. But I think it's nice to encourage them to do things non-theater related also, because it really builds character.
How about those kids on tour? Every single time I see a touring production, I think, wow, this must be a very unique experience, a very unique upbringing for these kids who are jumping around. What does that look like as a family who has a child on a touring production?
Yeah. So, even I think even for this question of, oh, so you want, how do you tell your parents you want to be an actor? Or, oh, I about to go on tour, what does that look like for the family? It's a family business, and it does affect everybody in the family. And going out on the road, because tours are a 6-month commitment, if not longer, it's a minimum of 6 months, involves the parent being away from the other children and maybe leaving their job. And so it becomes a family affair. And the first thing is you have to have a family discussion. And so, make sure everybody is on board and what's that going to look like. And a lot of times you can negotiate in taking the other sibling on the road and schooling them, if that works, or having parents switch off. Again, it's very personal. It has to work for the family. I will tell you, for parents that have said to me, right away, no, my kid's not going on tour. I know they want to, we'll do anything but that. I said, be open-minded, rethink it, because the kids who have been on tour have told me they have learned more than they ever learned being in a classroom. They get to travel the world, experience different cities, different foods. I mean, and I've interviewed a bunch of them in my book, and that life experience, you can't, for 6 months out of your life to be able to have that, and for the parent to experience that can be wonderful, if it's not putting your family, your other child, your spouse, in jeopardy.
And also these kids have to be, they've got to be nice, don't they?
Oh,
If brats don't sign up here. I remember spending time. I had an opportunity to go see Gabby Pizziolo, a local girl who had been in Matilda, and then she was in Fun Home, and we spent a little bit of time between shows with her, and the moms were hanging out with the kids in a lobby in a hotel because there's no place to go. They don't have an apartment. It's a 2 a day. But they're nice. There's no whining. These are nice kids.
We hope that, right? Casting directors only want to hire you if you can get along with others and be nice, right? Now, that's not always the case. And there are many, children fired from jobs because they don't play nice. And more important, their mommies or daddies don't play nice, and kids are fired for that. So there is etiquette, on-set etiquette, stage etiquette. And of course, I mean, that's what gets you the next job. It's who directors want to work with, right? Be nice.
Ellen, the rest of it's yours because we've got 7 to go.
Oh, perfect. Excellent. Well, Denise, this section is called the close-up. So it's just some rapid fire questions all about you. So are you ready for your close-up?
I'm ready.
So when was the moment, this is kind of a fun question. We ask everybody this, but since you work with the youth, I'm kind of curious, when did you know that you wanted to be in the theater business? What was the moment that inspired you?
Oh, my favorite question. I went to see The Sound of Music, the movie. I won't tell you what year that was. You can Google it. And I came out, and I made my parents I asked my parents to buy me the cast album. And I became obsessed. I wanted to be Julie Andrews. And I took that record album and I played that 24/7, acted out. And then I, at 7 years old that summer, was cast as Mrs. Banks in Mary Poppins at 7.
I love that.
I mean, at 7 years old, I knew it. And that's what I say to parents. It's in your DNA, right? As a theater person, you know that. And I'll never forget The Sound of Music. And then the first off-Broadway show was Curly McDimple, the story of Shirley Temple, a Shirley Temple-ish show. And that was at a very young age. It was all right around the ages 7, 8.
And what did your parents, how did they react when you said, this is what I want to do?
They were really, really supportive, because what did they think then? Well, I was cute. I had the Shirley Temple thing going on, and they thought, well, this is great. She'll be Shirley Temple. Like, they were all about it. Now, my mom wasn't a stage mom because, I wasn't pursuing it professionally at the time. And so I don't know if they knew what to do with it, other than they thought it was fun. I had 3 brothers. They were all sports enthusiasts. And, it was fine for me to act out the stuff in my room, and it made me happy. So as long as I was happy, they were happy. I think it was later on when I wanted to study in theater that then, we had the talk of, what? No not so sure about this.
Yeah.
So,
Then they said, don't you want to be a teacher?
And what is your go-to main, maybe like top one or two bits of advice for the student who says, yeah, this is what I want to do with my life. How do you approach talking to your parents about that?
yeah. Well, I think you need to educate them. Okay. The first thing is it's about really letting them know that this is what you're passionate about. And to me, passion outweighs anything, because if you are passionate about something, you will follow through. You may not become the thing you're passionate about, but that passion will take you somewhere else. And that somewhere else is where you will shine. And we know, and I know this from the countless young actors that I interviewed in my book, that those with a passion and a drive became uber successful adults in whatever field they ended up in.
And do you have a favorite show that features young actors that you just think is a beautiful show that you love seeing your students be part of?
You mean a stage show or?
Yeah, yeah. There's a stage show out there that you just think this is such a great vehicle for young actors.
My gosh, so many. I mean, I've represented kids from every on every Broadway show. And so, I could tell you, Les Mis is probably my all-time favorite show. And I repped those kids in Les Mis from the original Les Mis and until now, till the revival. And although it's not a kid's show, and it's a dark and it's a heavy show, it happens to be one of my favorites. It's That's just one of my favorite shows. Matilda, I had a lot of the Matildas, and that's an amazing vehicle for
And I'm
any
going to
young
jump
actor.
in and say, what a great place. I'm looking at the clock. I don't know how we lost track of so much time. Denise Simon, you're fabulous. Parenting in the Spotlight, how to raise a child star without screwing them up. Thank you.
And Denise,
Thank you.
how can people find you? Because you do teach a lot of classes. Where can we get your information?
Well, if you'd like to go to my website, that's denisesimoncoaching.com. And there you'll find out all about my classes, my training, my consulting. I'm a writer for Backstage. So go to backstage.com and you'll find all my articles. My articles are on my website as well. My book, Parenting in the Spotlight, How to Raise a Child Star Without Screwing Them Up, is on Amazon. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Follow me for my tips, I cast here and there. And I cast and help scout for my fellow colleagues. So look, my passion is children in the entertainment industry, how to raise happy, healthy children that become happy, healthy adults in whatever they choose. And we know as theater people that there is nothing like the theater. And so all the skills that it teaches a child, right? The life skills, the how to cope with rejection, confidence, getting over fear of public speaking, and the transferable skills will bring them to a place, I think, that not many people can get to. And so you have nothing to lose by supporting your child doing this. It doesn't have to be in the professional world. But if they do want to enter the professional world, I will tell you, do your research, have your child do the research, do it together. There's a lot of wonderful information out on the web. If you have a question, shoot me an email. I'll always answer an email. There are a lot of wonderful people in the industry that want to help you, that, there aren't people that just want to take your money. There are people that really do care. And so follow podcasts and Facebook groups and get educated.
That's wonderful. Denise, thank you so, so much. This has been a joy talking to you. And I really love this topic. And we'll see if Claire wants to be an actress one day.
Thank you so much, Vanita and Ellen.
Thank you. This has just been great. And hey, maybe somebody's listening in and they go, we got to get a hold of Denise, because I think Junior really, their passion is really there. So thanks. And we'll look forward to seeing some of your, finds when the stage, starts up again.
It will.
So thanks everyone for listening. I'm Ellen Cribbs.
And I'm Vanita Zahn, and we'll see you next time.